What's going on, everybody? It is your boy Ghost Rider, and I am coming to you from the Batcave. Yes, I am kind of sort of home. Got some stuff to take care of. And so, anyhow, I was on YouTube a couple days ago, and I saw that a gentleman named, and I hope I get your name right, um, Abel Esal. He asked me a few questions, and one of his questions, actually, I'll go over both of them. His first question was, "What was my third week in the academy like?" And his second question was, "How was the CDL test?" So first, let's address question one, which was, "What was my third week of the academy like?" So again, uh, Mr. Sell, this is, remember I graduated in January 17th of this year. So what I'm going to talk about could possibly have changed since then. So my third week in the academy, if I remember right, we were practicing our pre-trips. So the first thing you do when you get out in the yard, even before the instructors come on ground, is you practice your pre-trip. You don't even start the vehicle. You practice the physical portion of your pre-trip, and then you get inside, start the vehicle after you checked everything out physically, and you start the vehicle and you go into your air brakes part of your pre-trip. So that was part of it. And this was every morning. And when you're not actually moving the truck, you should be going over the pre-trip in your mind, or looking at the truck that's moving and pre-tripping it while somebody else is actually moving the truck. That way it gets ingrained in your mind. Now, here's the other part of that pre-trip that I'm gonna talk about. If I remember right, it was 14 pages. Excuse me, back to back, in the Swift Student Manual. Um, Look, you got to take your time and you got to go through that, and you've got to know that stuff. Don't go out of order. The easiest way is it's already scripted for you. Go in order of what they give you, right? So when it comes time to do your pre-trip tests at the academy, and then when you go for your CDL, it's already ingrained in here. Like, okay, I'm going to start at the front of the vehicle. I'm going to do everything in the engine compartment, or I'm going to check all the lights and underneath. Make sure there's no fluids on the ground. And then I'm going to start on the left side, right back around to the right side. Make it whatever your flow is. Make it your flow. But me personally, I stuck with what was in the book. That's how I did it, and it made it so much easier. It was already scripted, so why reinvent the wheel, right? So so know your pre-trip, up and down, backwards and forwards. You can miss a few things on the pre-trip, but you cannot miss anything on those air brake tests. So you need to make sure that you are 100%. If anything else, you are 100% on that air brake test. All right, and I'm gonna give you a little tip on the air brake test when I start talking about the CDL tip or test. So the other part we were doing was we were into straight line backing. So we would pull forward, we pull out of the cones, we pull forward, and then we would just back the tractor and trailer straight back into a position. And then we had, I think, towards the end of that week, Instructor Cowboy, which was in lane one at the Richmond facility, he started showing us the offset backing, which is basically you've got two lanes, you're in the left lane, now you need to park your vehicle in the right lane, or you're in the right lane and you need to park your vehicle in the left lane. So we did the offset back. We started practicing the offset backing. That was close towards the end of that third week. So that's pretty much it. We still had to keep our logs. You still had to do paper logs. So every day that you're at the academy, whether you're off or you're on duty in school, you have to keep a paper log. At least we had to. All right. You had to log everything: lunchtime, breaks. You had to log pretty much everything. Even when you had your weekends off, you had to log that in too. All right, it's all about accounting for your time. So make sure you're doing that. Now, so that's pretty much it. We were doing our pre-trips. I think it was I think it could have been in that third week where the instructors did ask us. And I think they asked some of us, "Hey, were we ready to do our pre-trip tests?" And we're like, "Yeah." Some of us raised our hand and said, "Yeah, let's just get it out the way." And I know I was one of them. I was like, "Yeah, let's just get this out the way because I got it memorized. I'm ready to rock and roll." The other thing with that pre-trip, look, your instructors can tell if you study. All right, I had instructor Craig he was my tester at the Richmond facility. And when I finished, instructor Craig actually turned around and looked at me and said, "Thank you for studying." They can tell if you study. Don't wait 2 days to try to study 14 pages. It's not going to work. We had a couple students that, tried to wait, a couple days, and then they wanted to get serious and studying when all of us, some of the other classmates are studying it in groups, all right, and giving each other pointers. And when we're out in the yard actually practicing our pre-trip, we would tag team. Like somebody would start at the front and they would do the front, and then we would correct them as they went along, and then somebody else would take care of like the right side of the vehicle and the trailer, and then we correct them as they go along, and then somebody else would finish up coming back to the back of the trailer and then up to the right side of the tractor and trailer, and then correct them as we go along. It only helps you out, right? Some people didn't want to join in that. Some people just wanted to go off on their own. That's fine. Some people study better that way. But there's some people that just wanted to wait until the last minute and then get serious and study. And every last one of them that I know of failed. So as soon as you get that pre-trip book and your instructor starts talking to you about the pre-trip and they start showing you the different parts of the vehicle, you need to start studying. Period. It's too easy. I think out of all the parts that were on that vehicle on my pre-trip, I think I got 2 wrong. 2 wrong, right? Out of 150 parts, I don't know, that we had to check on that vehicle. 2 wrong, not a bad day at all. But of course, remember, your air brakes, you cannot get anything wrong. So everybody had to get 100% on that. All right, so moving on to the Cdl exam. All right. Now, at the Richmond facility, at the time that I went, there were 4 lanes. All right. There was the first lane, which you pretty much did with instructor Cowboy, which you pretty much did your straight line backing. All right. And then he showed you how to do offset. Then the second lane, I think, was instructor Ryan, and he showed us more of the offset. And then the third lane was your parallel parking. And then there was a 4th lane. Now, the 4th lane was off limits. It was strictly for those people who are actually from Virginia, because they would test you. If you were from Virginia, they would test you right there on site, and you do your road test right there within the airport area right there. So that was then. I know that they were working on everybody being able to test right there at the Richmond facility. So that could be the case right now. I'm not sure. But that's what it was for us. Now, for those who weren't from Virginia, there's actually a CDL DMV, maybe about half an hour from the Richmond facility. The instructors, I think we loaded up on the trucks maybe about 7:30 in the morning. We got to the facility somewhere between 7:30 and 8 in the morning. We waited for the testers to come in, and actually I was an add-on at the last minute, simply because for those of you who remember in a past video, I had injured my knee and I had to leave underneath the 30-day restart program and then return and finish out. So I had tested at the Richmond facility. They were like, "You're good to go. You remember everything. Go in and go test for your CDL." So anyway, get to the facility. The testers show up, or the administrators, the examiners, whatever you want to call them, they show up. You go through very little administrative information. Most of it your instructors already have, and they put you on this tablet, which is pretty cool. Now I'll explain to you how the tablet that they have works. It's actually a pretty nice concept, because I thought I was going to have to carry a whole bunch of paperwork back to my DMV and give it to them, and take chances that gets lost and I have to provide copies. But anyway, so they put your information into a tablet. All right. They look at your permit, make sure your permit wasn't expired, all that stuff. Make sure your medical card is good to go, all that stuff. And then, once they're ready, they will call out and they'll say, at least for us, they say, hey, who wants to start first? So I wanted to get it over with. So I was like, hey, let's go. All right. So you get out, and the first thing you do is your pre-trip, right? So went through the pre-trip, bam, no problem. Got the pre-trip knocked out. The next thing you do, you get inside the vehicle and you do your air brake test. Now, here's the tip on the air brake test, at least for the time that I was there. Okay, so let's say you make a mistake on the air brake test, right? I told you have to have 100% on the air brake test. As long as you catch the mistake before the instructor says anything, or before you get to the end and say, hey, I'm done my pre-trip, right? As long as you catch your mistake and you say, hey, that wasn't the tractor and trailer brakes weren't supposed to pop out at the same time, whatever step you're on, right? As long as you catch that, you can ask them for a redo. Now, I know that's what happened to me. I made a mistake on my air brake test and I caught it. And I immediately turned to the instructor and told her exactly what I did wrong. And I said, can I restart? And she said, yes. Now, at the time, you didn't have to restart the entire pre-trip, just the air brake test. Okay. So went back through, bam, took my time, took a deep breath, went in, knocked it out. Boom. No problem. Okay. Then once we did that, she got out the vehicle and she was like, okay, I'm going to have you pull up into these lanes. So I did a right turn and I pulled up into a lane. Now you're going to know which lanes you're going to offset to and which lanes you're going to parallel park to, depending on which lane, left or right, she tells you to pull into. So she told me to pull over into the left lane, right? And I was going to do my straight line back, which means I'm going to offset to the right lane and then parallel park back to the left lane, right? If you pull up in the right lane, you're going to offset to the left lane and then you're going to parallel park back to the right lane. All right. That's exactly how it is. You don't get out of your vehicle to do anything but goal, get out and look. That's all you do, right? The administrators, they move the cones around for you. All you got to do is perform the action, right? So once you do that and you get through that, boom, next step is about a 20 to 30 minute road test. All right. So you go do your road test. I know I went through, came out and I made a right. Well, actually I came out of the train facility, made a left, got on the road and made a right. It was a pretty busy road. So make sure that the traffic is clear too. Made a right and we went down through the town. And she took me into she asked me to turn into like a gas station area, and it was like a winding road. So she wanted to see if you can control the truck, right? We went through another area as we controlled the truck. So I went down onto the highway, right? Make sure that you're paying attention to road signs, because sometimes, at least my administrator, she asked me, what does that road sign say that you just passed? And I was like, 65 miles an hour. And she said, okay. So make sure that whatever road, you're paying attention to every road sign, to include mile markers. I know my mentor said, pay attention to mile markers. All right. So did that, turned around, got off the highway, started heading back in the direction of the terminal of the test site, and went through a railroad track area. Make sure you do your proper procedures at the railroad track area. Okay. And then I had the distinct pleasure of maneuvering through an accident scene. And I was like, great, I get to maneuver through an accident scene. So maneuver through the accident scene, paid attention to what the police officer was directing everyone to do. And then went back down to the testing facility, turned in, and the last thing that I had to do was turn into the facility and park the truck up against a curve, right? So that was it. And, I sat in the truck with the instructor for about 2 minutes. She finished off her information on the tablet, and I looked at her and I said, so how did I do, Doc? And she said, you passed. I got out that truck before she could change her mind. and I wanted to do a backflip. Yeah, a little too old to do a backflip. But I jumped so high in the air. I don't think the last time I jumped that high in the air, I think I was probably like 17 years old, still playing basketball. But I was very excited. And then what she instructed me to do, she said, I was waiting on paperwork, and she was like, no. Everything that we do, we transmit it through this tablet to your DMV. So give it about, I think she said about a week or two, and it'll get back to your DMV. And, you go and check in with your DMV, and they'll give you your license. So for PA, they mailed us our license. But that was it. And then everybody else that was in my class, it was three people in my class, all right, that went through the automatics, right? And then there was one gentleman who was finishing up. He was one of the last students at the Richmond facility to test out on the manuals. So we did that, and everybody passed. Unfortunately, except for the gentleman on the manual, he didn't pass. He had to go back and he had to redo. I think it was just he had to redo the whole thing because he didn't even get past the pre-trip. So he had to go back and do everything. But he eventually, I saw him up at my terminal here in Jonestown, PA. And of course, he was driving for Swift. So that means he passed, right? But the process was very easy. It was smooth. It was organized. And what's cool is that you actually get to see those personnel who are coming in to get their Cdl Class B license for dump trucks and buses. They were testing out in another area, but at the same time. So it was pretty cool. But look, my thing of what the academy and going through any type training is, number one, pay attention, right? Study, breathe, and take your time. Those are the number one things, right? If you pay attention, you study, you breathe, you take your time when you're doing things. If you get frustrated, especially, I know there was a few times when I was learning, I was getting frustrated with the parking. I had to pause it, stop the truck, get out, take a breather, walk around the area a little bit, and got back in the truck, clear my mind, I was good to go. All right. If you have to do that, do that. All right. This process can be very easy or can be very hard, and it all depends on you. So for all my soon-to-be fellow brother and sister truck drivers out there, you can get through it. All right. It just takes those three things that I just mentioned. Pay attention, study, take a deep breath. All right. And you'll be fine. For all my instructors and admin personnel at the Richmond facility, Mr. Vince, Miss Deborah, Mark, Mr. Harry, Mr. Young, Quincy, Cowboy, Ryan, Craig, you dudes and ladies are awesome. Thank you for sticking with me and support me and helping me get through the academy. January 17th will be my 1 year as a Swift transportation professional truck driver, and I love it. So for Mr. Esal, I hope I pronounced your name right. This was the video that I promised I would do for you. And I hope that this gave you some insight on the academy on the third week. If you have any questions, feel free to hit me up again. Leave a comment here. I get the notifications that pop up on my phone, and that goes for anybody. And I'll leave my email address if you have a question. I check my email every now and then, hit me up with any questions. And if I can answer them, I'll answer them. If not, I will find somebody who can answer those questions, and I'll get back with you. Now, for another thing, when I am not on the truck and I'm taking care of some things, this is what I do. And I'm going to switch the camera over, and that is what I do. I play American Truck Simulator. All right. It's on PC, and that's how I keep my skills sharp. Now, unfortunately for this one, looks like I'm a newbie on this game. I'm actually not. I had to redo the entire. I had to uninstall it and reinstall it because some of the mods that I had on it were just destroying the game. They wouldn't load, so I just said forget it, and I reinstalled everything, got rid of the mods, and I'm just going to go with the base game and build from there. This is a great game if you do it, if you take it seriously. All right. As you can see, I have my back computer over there on the bottom right, and then I have my steering wheel and my pedal, and I have a wireless keyboard to help me do and mouse to help me do some inputs. And I drive this just like I'm driving in real life. I do the parking just like I'm doing in real life. So sometimes you'll go on some of these streaming applications and you'll see people driving, playing this game, and they're just either racing their truck to get there the fastest time, not paying attention to traffic, not caring about it, that kind of stuff. But if you're a professional truck driver and this is what you do to keep your skills sharp, do it the way you would do it in real life. Okay? We have a saying in the Army, an old saying in the Army: battle focused training. Train as you fight. So, battle focused training, right? Truck driver focus, right? So, train on this game as you would drive in real life. Okay? There's a lot of cool things you can do with this game. You can become an owner operator. You can be a company driver, which at the current time I am. On my last profile, I was an owner operator. You can have people work for you, and they can drive rigs, and they can do different type things. You have them doing hazmat. You can have them a balance driver. You can have them doing long hauls, all kind of things. You can own garages. You can do your own maintenance. You can get loans from the bank to help you build your business. All kind of things on here. So this is a really cool game. I enjoy it. My favorite truck right now is the International. That's what I drive when I'm on the road, and it's just a cool thing. Now I know that at some of the academies, they either have or they're working on getting simulators. But if you can afford to get the simulator yourself at home, American Truck Simulator. I know some people use Euro Truck Simulator. Get you a nice steering wheel, pedal set. If you use the gear shifts, this is not the gear shift to use. This is just what came with my steering wheel. This you want to get an actual truck driving, like a Eaton, 13 or 18, maybe even a 10. And then what I also went and got was the frame, a stability frame. Now some people, they take it and they put it right onto their desk and it works for them. I like the stability frame better. I think that investment right there was around $238. That's the steering wheel, the pedals, the shifter, and then the frame all together. And then the software, I think when I bought the software and downloaded it, was probably like $20. There's all kind of DLCs. There's all kind of mods if you're into modding. You can get. I actually had a Swift trailer, but that mod was out of date, so I couldn't use it anymore. But it was pretty cool. I had a Ghost Rider, actual Ghost Rider theme on my. I think I had on a K-Dub, and it's pretty cool. So right now I'm starting over. I'm starting on a Lone Star International. And it's probably what I'm going to continue on once I go owner operator on this game. So again, if you have any questions on the setup of my simulator, if you have any questions about Swift, if you have any questions about, pretty much anything in trucking, feel free to ask me. Again, if I don't know, I will reach out to some of my resources and ask those questions and get back with you. So for now, this is the Ghost Rider. I got some personal business to take care of. I hope everybody is safe, especially those who are out west with the snowstorms out there, and those who are running the northeast regional account out here. I hope you're being safe. All right. No load is worth your life. All right. So this is the Ghost Rider. I'm about to be ghost.